Do you play an instrument? When I think of playing one, I generally think of a flute or a trumpet, or maybe a violin or saxophone, something you lugged back and forth in grade school. Well, why not go big? Join us as we discover stationary instruments that add pomp and circumstance to our lives, today on Hometown. Johann Sebastian Bach wrote, "It's easy to play any musical instrument. All you have to do is touch the right key at the right time and the instrument will play itself." Deceptively easy, right? But something incredible happens when you play instruments in their own space, which are forged to be part of that place. The sounds and meaning become big, bold, and physically meaningful. Today, we explore two instruments we associate with church: pipe organs and bells. Both of these instruments play central roles in worship, in building community, and calling us to prayer and celebration. I'm on stage at the Fine Arts Center Auditorium on the Walla Walla University campus. Behind me, you can see the pipe organ, where the instrument can play itself as long as you hit the right key at the right time. Come with us as we explore the places these incredible instruments live and the people who make and play them. Essential ingredients in the remarkable story of us.
Beautiful. Dr. Kraig Scott, welcome to Hometown. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
And thank you for playing that. So what did you just play?
This is a piece by a wonderful composer, Joseph Jongen, and it's called Chorale, which means hymn. He's a Belgian composer, and I've got Jongen on the mind these days because my good colleague Brandon Beck has me working on a big four-movement work by Jongen for orchestra and organ. It's a piece I've wanted to play since high school, and this is the very first time I've ever gotten to play it. We did the fourth movement for church alumni weekend just a couple days ago.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And today, as we talk about big instruments in our town, this here at the Walla Walla University Church is one of the largest what?
Well, it is a pipe organ. If it doesn't have air going through pipes made of wood or metal, it's not an organ. This is a pipe organ, and it is one of the largest pipe organs in the Northwest. In fact, for many years, it was the largest organ west of Salt Lake and north of San Francisco.
Oh, fantastic.
And it has kind of a reputation among organ aficionados. For years, it was the largest instrument. Now, in 2000, a new organ went into University Presbyterian Church in Seattle, and it's about the same size as this one. And then right about the same time, they enlarged the organ at St. Mark's Cathedral.
In Seattle.
Mm-hmm. And so it is also about the same. It's a wonderful, fantastic
Yes,
instrument.
I grew up as a child listening to that organ as well.
And then there's a third organ in Seattle. Also, at the same time, a new organ went into St. James, the big Catholic cathedral. And it is by my good friend Manuel Rosales. Now, it is not larger than this instrument. However, it's at the east end of the church, and in the west end of the church is a Hutchings Voti from about 1915. And the new console that Manuel Rosales built can play both instruments at the same time. And if you put both of those instruments together, then it's larger
Then it's the
than this.
largest.
So having said that, there are 3 organs in Seattle now that are about the same size as this one. So we can no longer say it's the largest organ, Salt Lake and
Sure.
San Francisco. But I hasten to add, larger is not better. So yeah, it's a big instrument. We're awfully lucky to have it.
Oh,
Here in the
absolutely.
deserts of eastern Washington, it's a very big surprise for people to come into this room, which is a large room, and then to find out that it's got such a magnificent organ. It's really a kind of a hidden secret in Walla Walla.
And this organ came into the University Church what year?
1962.
1962. And you've been playing this organ for how many years, Kraig? Maybe I should ask you, when did you start playing this organ?
The answer is 45 years.
45 years.
I came here as an undergrad in 1980, so I've been playing it since then. However, I started playing it a little bit earlier than that, because when my sister began college here in 1975, I came down and met Malvin West and started taking lessons from him.
He was
So that
organist at the time
in
here.
75,
Okay.
I started taking lessons from him on this instrument, although he would occasionally meet me in Seattle. That was far closer. We lived in Vancouver, British Columbia. So when he went to the opera or the symphony, he'd let my mom know.
And you'd
then
schedule a...
we'd just drive down to Seattle for a lesson. It was much closer.
When did you first start loving music, appreciating music? How old were you?
I can't remember a time that I didn't love music or be deeply affected by it. But I started piano when I was 4 and violin when I was 6, and then organ. I was very interested in the organ, started at about 11.
Why?
It was capable of such, well, you just heard that,
The
such
grandeur.
amazing sounds. But then again, it also is capable of such intimate and beautiful, quiet sounds. So it can be both great and tiny, and both are beautiful. I don't know, the organ captured me because of that tonal, those tonal resources. And I had some records of organ music when I was a kid, and I just was captivated by the sound.
So if someone's watching and they say, oh, pipe organs, they're old, and they are.
Well, they are. In fact, organ had a golden age, in my opinion, and that was the Baroque period. That we usually say 1600 to 1750. 1750 is when Bach died, and we kind of extend the Baroque period to include his nice round figure, 1750 death date. And that was, in many ways, the golden age of the organ, but that's because that was the period at which organ building flowered, and it became an instrument that captured the attention of every great musician. In the Baroque period, starting with Frescobaldi in about the year 1600 in the south, Italy, and Sweelinck up in Amsterdam in the north, also right about 1600. They were very active at 1600, the very beginning of the Baroque period. From that point on, every single one of the greatest musicians you can mention in the Baroque period, they were all organists. There was something about the instrument that captured the attention of everyone. So I call that the golden age of organ, but there is a huge amount of activity still today in organ building, in organ composition, and in organ performance. Yeah, some people sometimes try to imply that it's a dead or dying instrument, and nothing could be further from the truth.
We're going to also be talking about some other big instruments in this town of Walla Walla, our hometown. And on the organ, you can also play some bells, can't you?
We have some bells on this instrument. Yes, we do. They are called a zimbalstern, and it's little tinkly bells that are really fun, especially, say, at Christmas time. So, for instance, we were talking about Bach earlier. There is a wonderful piece by Johann Sebastian Bach, which is based off the story of the 10 virgins, 5 of whom were sleeping and 5 of whom stayed awake. And it's called Wake Awake, for the night is almost over and the king is coming. Recognize that is very well known. And the Zimbelstern, which are bells, make a really nice addition. There you go.
Well, thank you for playing the bells, even though it's not Christmas, but thank you.
Well, they can work at other times too.
I love it.
Yeah.
Kraig, thank you so much. And now we are going to go on a special tour of the pipes.
Yeah, let's go back there and see it.
Thank you. If this organ were to be purchased today, what would the cost be?
Well, actually, that's an interesting question, and I happen to know pretty much the exact figure because recently the Cassavant Company was here. They surveyed the entire instrument, took careful note of its condition, congratulated us on the care with which it's been preserved. The reason they're here is because we need to get a new console. But they gave us a really good report on the instrument, and they said that replacement cost today would be $3.5 million.
$3.5 million. Wow.
And originally, when it was purchased in 1962, it was actually half and finished in 66. But when it was purchased, the complete cost for those 2 installments was $110,000.
Wow.
That is called a good investment.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the people who have come through this school, who have come from the community for concerts, we've had Walla Walla Symphony, Messiahs performed here, and to have this instrument and to have you as organist, you've brought a lot of joy, Kraig, to so many people. And as you mentor students and teach them, thank you for doing that.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being on Hometown and sharing your big instrument with us.
Yeah, it's really a hidden gem of the Walla Walla Valley. More people should know about it. We're lucky to have it here.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Keep
Thanks,
up
Julie.
the great work.
Thank you.
I am here with Father Daniel Reese from the Orthodox Church here in Walla Walla. I'm so happy you're here with us today.
Thank you, Elaine.
And Father Daniel is a bell maker. And has done that for quite some time. Tell me how you got into making bells.
Well, just to clarify, I used to be a bell
Okay,
maker.
you're used to be a bell. Now
yeah.
you're a full-time priest.
Priest,
Yes.
correct, yeah. In the early 2000s, my best friend, his name is Innocent, and he was our deacon, Deacon Innocent. He worked for Mark Anderson at the Walla Walla Foundry.
Yes.
And he left because he developed allergies to copper. He found out eventually. But if he worked outdoors, then he was okay. And he wanted to stay in foundry work. Yeah. And so we had just become Orthodox Christian at that time. And so he wanted to blend his faith and his professional craftsmanship. And so he built a bell foundry, outdoor foundry on our property.
Specifically for bells.
For bells.
And on your personal property?
On our personal property. We live on a 10-acre farm.
Yeah. Oh,
and
wonderful.
so he's a MacGyver of sorts.
I love it.
And he went to Emery Stubblefields boneyard here in Walla Walla, which was a huge acreage of junk parts, and built our entire foundry from junk.
Wow, that's awesome. What a way to recycle, to
Yes.
take something that's cast off and then create something new and beautiful out of
Absolutely.
it. There's a beautiful spiritual metaphor in that as well, I think,
Yeah.
as human beings were cast off, and then Jesus creates us into
Yes.
something beautiful
Yes,
and,
yes.
and melodious in that process.
Yes. And anybody who is into sustainable
Yes.
living would value and appreciate that
Absolutely.
history. Yeah.
Absolutely. So how is this done? How do you take the garbage and the cast off and create something beautiful like that? What's the process?
It's called, it's one of the most ancient processes. It's called lost wax. And so we make a wax replica of a bell.
What kind of
And
wax do you use? Like a paraffin or?
I don't exactly know what the kind of wax was. It was used commonly in the foundry. And then Innocent is a consummate artist. And so he does all of the iconography and the design work that goes in the bell on a flat surface. And then he peels it off and applies it to the bell.
Oh,
And
wow.
then we spray on a layer of investment material. Sometimes it's called ludo. It's a kind of a plaster. And about half-inch thick. Then we immerse that in a huge container and pour in many pounds of that same investment material to create a huge mold. Then we put the mold in a kiln, fire the kiln up. The wax melts after many days out the bottom, hence lost wax process.
Yes, that makes sense.
And then once it is reached its proper temperature and all the moisture is out of the mold, we take the mold and we put a lot of weight on top of it, and we pour liquid bronze into the mold. And we would buy our bronze ingots. They look like gold ingots from the Walla Walla foundry. And he built a blast furnace that was propane driven.
Yeah, I bet it was hot.
You have a layer of charcoal. We called it coke. Coke, bronze ingots, coke, bronze ingots, and it's fueled by two huge propane burners and gets up to many thousands of degrees. And and has a huge ladle, depending on the size of the bell. And that's liquid bronze, and you pour it in, and it hardens almost instantly, and you crack open the mold, and then you go to work on the bell. It looks exactly like the wax mold looked. And you use everything from big grinding tools down to almost little dental.
Really? So you just get that detail and that finish on the outside. How long does this process take?
Depending on the size of the bell, you can do from the beginning of the wax process. It can be in the kiln for several days to reach temperature. Once you break it out and start grinding on it, a small bell you could probably do in 2 days. A large bell could take a few weeks.
So tell me a little bit about in Orthodoxy. What is the spiritual meaning of the bells?
Yeah, I brought kind of a cheat sheet.
Yep, that's great.
Let me go through several purposes. One practical purpose is to summon the faithful to divine services.
Yes.
And so in our church, many of our children ring our bells. So at the beginning of a service, the children are out ringing the bells. And it's telling people the service is about to begin.
And do you ring them by rocking them or by hitting them, or how
different? That's a great question.
Yeah.
Different than Western bell making, where the bell itself tolls and the clapper remains stationary. So bong, bong. And in Eastern bell making, the bell remains stationary.
And then
the clapper is hooked up to cords, and the bell ringer is pulling cords. So it's being struck by the clapper while the bell remains stationary.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
A second reason is to express the triumphal joy of the church and her divine services. A third is to remind us of the blessedness of heaven.
Yes.
Related, for example, in the book of Revelation, there's a trumpet
yes.
sounding.
Yes.
And so musical instruments like a trumpet or a bell remind us of heavenly worship. Our worship tries to be, or purports to be, or is
Yeah.
a reenactment of what we consider to be heavenly worship. And so it just helps the participants, the parishioners, feel that sense of involvement.
Right.
Yet another reason is that at different times in the service, especially certain times, one or more bell will go off at that moment. And it's alerting people to the importance of that moment in the service.
So it's a marker.
A marker, it's a great term. Yeah. Historically, for example, the creed, the Nicene Creed or the Apostles' Creed,
Yeah.
is often read in churches. Well, in an Orthodox service, it's sung at every point. And so we don't always do it, but the bell tolls 12 times very slowly, the big bell, during the creed.
Interesting.
And then a final reason is that in days of old, well, this isn't a reason, but it's just a relevant fact. Historians, many of them secular, noted that pagan people, upon hearing the sound of the bells going out across the countryside or in the city, would say, that is the voice of the Christian God.
Oh.
So, yeah.
So it was a marker not only for people within the community, but people who perhaps didn't really understand all of it, but heard those and connected it to that message.
Yeah.
If somebody wanted to hear the bells, when's the best time for them to hear?
All of them going off collectively by, as I said, Elaine, the children, would be Sunday morning at 9:30.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking your time today. What
pleasure.
a pleasure it
My
is.
pleasure, yeah.
We've known each other for many years, so it's just delightful to hear about this, and I have always admired the work that you guys do.
Well, I was Innocent's grunt. He was the artist, but it was almost an occasion of grief when he left and moved to Alaska.
Yeah.
And we shut down the business around 2012.
Yeah.
And so almost any opportunity I have to bear witness to our friendship and his creativity as an artist and his our mutual love of our Lord,
Yes.
I'll gladly take it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Music is a powerful thing. It can reduce stress and anxiety, it can improve your mood, and it can enhance your focus. But as a documentary filmmaker, for me, the thing that really matters is it can help to tell a story. And so today I'm trying to find the right music for this nature sequence that I filmed yesterday, and I thought I'd show you the process, and let's find the right music for this video. That is definitely not the song. I like that song, but not exactly what I'm going for on this video.
Jingle bells, jingle bells.
No, 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 no. Okay, so I think I found the song. Let's watch it all the way through.
Absolutely incredible. Music that is made from instruments, made with love, creates community. And as it says in 2 Chronicles, and it was the duty of the trumpeters and the singers to make themselves heard in unison, in praise and thanksgiving to the Lord. The song was raised with trumpets and cymbals and other musical instruments in praise to the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. A joyful noise is better than lonely silence. And we are blessed with so many beautiful instruments in this valley. Next time you get a chance, attend a concert or stop and appreciate the glad tidings of the bells. Let your heart be still and rejoice. See you next week on our next episode of Hometown. Do you love uplifting stories of people in our community as much as we do? When you give a gift, you make local, uplifting, community-focused programming like Hometown possible. To find out how, just use the QR code or visit our website at the link in our bio. And don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more great stories about our valley.